Why is it that a governor wouldn't accept free help from regardless? I mean, whether it's National Guard or the military or anybody. And then we have a governor get up and say, oh, it's safe. We can handle it. He can't handle it. He's an incompetent guy.
That was President Trump today sounding off on his crime crackdown and calling out Democrat leaders running some of America's biggest blue cities. It comes as a federal judge blocks him from sending National Guard troops to stop the anti-ICE violence exploding in Portland. And now Chicago and Illinois fighting for the same outcome.
The federal government has every right to deploy federal resources to protect federal action that's being obstructed.
That Trump's deployment was simply untethered to the facts. The Trump administration is getting pushed back left, right, and center. The American people are saying no to this, and the court system is saying no to this. You have judges who have been appointed by every president from Reagan up until Donald Trump and Joe Biden himself saying you cannot do this.
No, you don't.
Chicago journalists are suing.
Chicago
journalists are suing DHS for having excessive force used against them. And I know you love a good poll. I'm going to lead the A block with it. CBS. Trump is now -10 on immigration. 58% oppose using the National Guard, 70% of independents, 61% oppose using active duty military in our American cities.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here, and Jessica Tarlov just made that sniveling, spineless, snot-nosed little punk and disgrace to journalism, Jesse Waters, look like the fool we already knew that he was. And it was glorious to watch.
They are trying to militarize the country. And he says, and Caroline Levitt echoed it today in the press briefing, well, he just wants to work together. He's not picking up the phone and calling J.B. Pritzker. He's saying, I'm coming to take your cities. And that's what he told all of the generals last week when he had them assembled.
She dropped one truth bomb that left the entire Fox panel sitting there slack-jawed like a pinball machine on tilt. Bells ringing, lights flashing when she told them the truth. Trump isn't coming to help cities. He's sending in federal troops whether governors want it or not.
You keep hearing Democrats, and I know Jessica will bring this up eventually, about ICE agents zip-tying children. Well, I looked into it. And when you do a raid on an apartment complex with 37 illegal aliens, and a couple of them are Tren de Agua, and the guy's living in an apartment building with a 17-year-old girl, and they can't prove that they're related, it's law to escort the girl, detain her, and bring her to a either state facility or a guardianship so she can't be exploited anymore.
I wasn't going to, but I'm always down to talk about zip-tied children. So Jesse didn't really debunk anything. He used an example of a 17-year-old girl, but the case that the Democrats were making about this was based on the eyewitness testimony of people who lived in that apartment complex, which ran at first on local ABC.
And the same crowd that screams about federal overreach and don't tread on me every time a Democrat sneezes is suddenly cheering for Washington to roll tanks into blue cities and inflict as much pain and cruelty as possible. It's MAGA hypocrisy, so loud you can hear it over the roar of their flag-waving convoys and oversized trucks rumbling down the hillbilly highway, picking up hitchhikers along the way. Trump and his cronies like Jesse Waters, a seasoned bootlicker, are flooding the airways with rhetoric and theater. Every time Trump calls it help, he means control. So let's stop pretending this is some noble rescue mission. When the big bad wolf offers you a hand, it's not because he wants to save grandma. It's because he's checking the seasoning.
You would also, I would hope, not deny the fact that the judge who ruled against the deployment to Oregon is not some lefty. She was a Bush-appointed U.S. attorney. She was on Ken Starr's team. And I love this. I just, love a good quote when she's talking about what's going on in Portland and how you can actually look at the footage and see that it's on one square block and it's not like the mess everyone portrays it to be, similar to what happened in L.A., that Trump's deployment was simply untethered to the facts.
What they didn't expect was Jessica Tarlov showing up with the facts and the receipts. Within minutes, the segment went off the rails to crazy town. You could almost hear the gears grinding as they barreled down the highway of unwanted storylines and inconvenient plot twists. Let me tell you something. This isn't about helping anyone. This is about control. They're dressing it up as patriotism. But what you're seeing is raw authoritarianism. When a president sends troops into cities that didn't ask for them, that's not law enforcement. That's occupation. Every time they do it, they're testing how far they can go before the public pushes back. I've worn the uniform. I know what it means to take an oath. And it's not to a politician. It's to the Constitution. Every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine swore that oath. And that oath doesn't come with an asterisk. It doesn't say, unless a wannabe strongman tells you otherwise. It's clear. We defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So when somebody in power tells you to violate it, your duty is to refuse. Period. Trump isn't trying to stop violence. He's staging it. His troop deployments are false flags meant to provoke a response so he can justify a crackdown. He wants triggers pulled. He wants chaos on camera. That's the playbook. He wants to scare Americans into trading liberty for the illusion of safety. And he doesn't give a damn if soldiers get hurt, because the second something goes wrong, he'll blame them. He'll never take responsibility. He never does. Never has. They were even talking about sending the 82nd Airborne Division into Portland, Oregon. Think about that. One of our most lethal combat divisions, trying to jump into war zones overseas, dropped into American neighborhoods? There's a reason Fort Bragg used to be called the President's 911. When you need something destroyed fast, you call the 82nd. Those troops aren't meant for crowd control. They're trained for combat. You put them on American streets, and all it takes is one nervous soldier, one bad command, one split second, and civilians will die. And when that happens, Trump will shrug and blame a rogue soldier. That's how he operates, always has. And what makes it even worse? You've got senior officers sitting on their hands, too scared to speak out. Where's the courage? Where's the leadership? We've got generals who'll give speeches about honor at a banquet, but won't lift a finger to stop an illegal order? If you wear the uniform and you carry rank, you have a duty to call this out. Because when people are hurt or killed, it's not just on the politician who ordered it. It's on every leader who sat silent. The Posse Comitatus Act exists for a reason. We don't use the military to police our own citizens. That line is sacred. It's the difference between a democracy and a dictatorship. When Trump blurs that line, he's not helping, he's hijacking. And don't let anyone tell you this is about protecting America. This is about protecting himself. Every single move he makes, every deployment, every stunt is about distraction. He's hoping you'll look at the chaos instead of all the corruption. The same guy who's been protecting his billionaire buddies, cutting their taxes and gutting programs for working Americans, is now pretending to care about law and order. Yeah, give us a break. Historians won't be stunned by the greed of the elites. They've always been greedy. What'll shock them is the loyalty of the poor, because that's where we are right now. I travel the country and I see it. I see folks barely making it, houses falling apart, roofs leaking, but there's a 10-foot Trump flag flying right out front. The poorer they are, the faster they'll swing for him. They'll honestly think this man, who was born on third base and stole home, is one of them. He's not. He's never been one of them. He talks about the gold in the Oval Office. He's got a golden toilet in Trump Tower. How's that working out for your grocery bill? How's that working out for your health care premiums? He is the one who's gutted oversight, rolled back worker protections, and is still trying to kill the Affordable Care Act. And the same Fox pundits cheering this militarization are cheering the shutdowns that strip people of their paychecks. It's all one con. Meanwhile, these same cowards in Congress refuse to reopen the government because they're terrified of one thing: transparency. They don't want that new representative from Arizona sworn in because she'd be the deciding vote to release the Epstein files. That's the real reason. The moment those files come out, half their donors are implicated. They campaigned on exposing the list, but now they're blocking it. They protect predators while pretending to protect America. So when you hear them talk about sending troops into cities, remember, this isn't about public safety. It's about protecting power. They can't fix the economy. They can't fix health care. They can't fix infrastructure. So what do? They find an enemy inside the borders, and they turn the military against us. And Jesse Waters, let me tell you about that little worm. He's not a journalist. He's a grinning little propaganda grifter, a paid mouthpiece for lies and fear. He traffics in cheap outrage, repeats White House talking points like a teleprompter with a pulse, and smiles while he sells panic to people who trust him. Fox already had to write a check for roughly $787 million to try to paper over the damage their lies did. And Waters keeps doubling down, pumping the same poison into the public square. He doesn't challenge power, he flatters it. He doesn't hold anybody accountable. He props the scams that keep the corrupt in office. That smirk on his face, yeah, disgusting. When this is all over and the smoke clears, history won't remember Jesse Waters as a brave truth teller. It'll remember him as a little man who sold his credibility for ratings, who cheered the tanks and lied about the victims, who chose his paycheck over the people who watched him. He's a coward who dresses up obedience as courage, and he's complicit in whatever mess their stunts create. So yeah, call him a hack, call him a toady, call him what he is, a spineless sellout. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.